सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय आविराविर्मयिधि। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। Let we be protected, let we be nourished, let we strive with energy and vigor. Let our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. Om peace, peace, peace. Lead us to truth and not to untruth. Lead us to enlightenment and not ignorance. Lead us to immortality and not death. Let the self-manifest Atman grow in me. Om peace, peace, peace. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Partha was enlightened by the Lord Narayan himself, and which was incorporated in the Mahabharata by the ancient saints Vyasa, the Blessed Mother, the destroyer of river, showering down the nectar of Advaita, and consisting of 18 chapters. Upon thee, O Bhagavad Gita, O loving Mother, I meditate. So we'll sing a little song. It's a name of Sri Ramakrishna. As it is, we are reading Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantasya Dridhavrata. So we should sing the glory of God, at least his name, that gives us clarity of understanding and also it helps us to attain him. Jai Jai Rama Krishna, 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 Jai Jai Rama Krishna. Jai Jai Rama Krishna, 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 Jai Jai Rama Krishna. So we are studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are in 10th chapter. And in the beginning, Lord has introduced the topic that he wants to talk about. And with preliminary 3 shlokas, he tries to draw the attention of Arjuna, and also he praises himself because he himself was pleased by the attention of Arjuna. So he says again, just I'll read out so that we are at right place with the context that is that we are in. The Lord, the blessed Lord said, I again, O mighty armed, do thou listen to my supreme word, which I wishing thy welfare with tell thee who art delighted to hear me. So it is difficult to get right kind of disciple, though there are so many gurus are available. But tadring no bhuyat nachiketa prashna. So as death, Yama praised Nachiketa. Similarly, uh, it is difficult to get a right kind of disciple. So Sri Krishna, in front of Arjuna, he identifies himself, identifies Arjuna as right kind of disciple. So he pours out his heart, as it were. So he said, nobody knows me. Name vidu suragana prabhavana maharshaya. Neither the hosts of devas nor the great rishis know my origin. For in every way I am the source of all the devas and the great rishis. So whatever is created, the created thing cannot know the creator. So naturally, they do not know the real nature of God, those who are created being. So he who knows me, birthless and death and beginningless, the great Lord of worlds, he among mortals is undiluted. He is freed from all sins. Yo mam ajam anadim cha. Ajam means I am unborn. Though I look like I am born, ajam anadim, and I am without any beginning. And those who know about my real nature, such people whose intellect is not confused, asamudha, that means the intellect is mature and it is refined. So such a person, samarteshu sarva papehi pramuchyate, is redeemed of all his bad karma or sins. So with this three shlokas, then he introduces that what he really is. Buddhir jnanam asammodha, kshama satyam damah shama. So these are the qualities that we find prevalent, and there we can identify the presence of God. What are those? Intellect, the subtle, that awareness, consciousness behind all our intellect, intellectual pursuit. So intellect, knowledge, non-delusion, forbearance, truth, restraint of the external senses, calmness of heart, happiness, misery, even misery, because that is the great teacher. We learn many things because when we face misery and then we inquire about it, what is the real nature of this world and what is my real nature? So birth, death, fear, as well as fearlessness, non-injury, evenness, contentment, austerity, benevolence, good name, and even ill fame. Different kinds of qualities of beings arise from me alone. We have gone in details, so I'm not repeating again. So these are the qualities that in which we see the presence of God. It is his manifestation. So ahimsa samata tushti tapodanam yasho yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matte eva pritagvida. All these come from me, from me. So, and then he, in two shlokas, he says, the seven great rishis as well as the four ancient Manus. We have enumerated them in our previous class, so I'm not repeating. So it's called Manu Manvantar. So it's a great period of time when the creation is created or projected, and then it is absorbed. So if four ancient Manus, sometimes it is 14. There are various opinion, possessed of powers like me, due to their thoughts being fixed on me, were born of my mind. From them are these creatures in the world. And then he who is really, in reality, knows these manifold manifestations of my being, and this yoga power of mine becomes established in the unshakable yoga. There is no doubt about it. Etam vibhutim. Vibhuti means these are expressions, these are various manifestations. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo vetti tattvata. He who knows in reality. So this is like prabha. It's like glory of God. So abhikampena yogena. So they are well established in me without any wavering. Yujjate natre samshaya. So up to this, after saying this, then he starts from shloka number 8. Before we go forward, last time I said that Buddha is considered as the incarnation of God, and in South India, not it is not considered, but some considered him as incarnation of God, and some do not. I checked this information, and then I found that and also like one of my colleague indicated, and then I checked it. So that's a little correction. So anyway, let us go to the text now. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Prabhava means everything has come out of me. I am the origin. Sarvasya prabhava. I am the origin of everything. Mattaha sarvam pravartati. And from me, everything manifests. So I am the origin of all. From me, everything evolves. Thus thinking, the wise worship me with loving consciousness. Why? Because I am the source. And you see, like we see this world, but when we see this world, we are engrossed in it. We don't see the creator. But those who are special, thoughtful people, those who are seeker of truth, they try to find out the source of this, and then they can find me. So aham sarvasya prabhava mattah sarvam pravartati, and everything is manifested from me, and everything evolves from me. Iti matva bhajante mam. Bhajante, bhaja, that means what? Just not singing the glories of God. That's one portion only. Bhaja sevayam. That means they serve also. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. Such intelligent people, they attain to my bhava. I am the origin of all. From me, everything evolves. Thus thinking, the wise worship me with loving consciousness. Loving consciousness. Like they try to tune themselves to me, with me. So let us read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, so that will clarify the things. This is a, mm, there is a controversy, and whenever you see outside, there must be some differences. When it is, if you go to uh, outside, there must be some differences. But when it at the center, everything merges in one. So Sri Ramakrishna was talking to devotees. I am he. I am the pure self. That is the conclusion of the Jnanis. But the Bhaktas say the whole universe is the glory of God. Who would recognize a wealthy man without his power and riches? So that means if there is an aristocrat, he must have some properties. Ji Babur Bagan nahi, that means he who has no garden or no properties, how can he be called as Babu? So in the simple word of Sri Ramakrishna. But it is quite different when God himself, gratified by the aspirant's devotion, says to him, you are the same as myself. Suppose a king is seated in his court, and his cook enters the hall, sits on the throne and says, O king, you and I are the same. People will certainly call him a madman. But suppose one day the king, pleased with the cook's service, says to him, come, sit beside me. There is nothing wrong in that. There is no difference between you and me. Then, if the cook sits on the throne with the king, there is no harm in it. There is no harm in it. It is not good for ordinary people to say, I am he. The waves belong to the water. Does the water belong to waves? So here we find that ordinary people should not say, I am he. Ordinary people should go through bhakti yoga. That means, oh Lord, you are the master, I am your servant. Or you are my father, mother, I am your son. That is why we should see the glory of God in so many forms. So we'll go forward, but let us go a little more. Machittaha madgata prana. Chitta, that means the mind is totally soaked in me. Machittaha madgata prana, and whose prana, the vital forces or the intellect, the being, senses, all are in me. Madgata prana. So what they do? Bodhayantaha parasparam. They talk about me and they enjoy talking about me. If you have seen some, say, circus. So when you come back from circus, you talk about circus. Oh, it is so nice. It was, it was so amazing. One lady was riding on a horse on one foot, and the horse was circling, and the lady was jumping through a fireball, and it was so amazing. So whatever we see, we want to talk about. But those devotees, pure devotees, whose mind is soaked in me, they want to talk about me. And they try to say to each other, Machittaha, whose mind is absorbed in me. Madgata pranaha, and whose senses and being is absorbed in me. Bodhayantaha parasparam. They try to convince or say mutually, they enlightening. So they try to enlighten, or they want to speak about me. Nityam. Nityam means always. Kathayantah, they speak about. Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. This way they draw a great satisfaction, and also they enjoy this. With their minds wholly in me, with their senses absorbed in me, enlightening one another, and always speaking of me, they are satisfied and delighted. Because they cannot think any other things. They are not interested, simply not interested. Like Sri Ramakrishna would talk to devotees, and some people would like it. So they would talk to Sri Ramakrishna, and the other people who did not like said, when we are going back, when we are going back. And then they said, okay, you talk, let us go and sit on the boat. So some people may not like it, but some, they like only to talk about God and the thing like that. So it is the interest that one has that is important. So we go to the next. Tesham satata yuktaram bhajatam priti purvakam. Satata yukta, that means ever connected. Such people who are ever connected. Satata yuktanam bhajatam. Again, bhajatam means those who are not only sing the glories of God, but they also serve. And they serve with devotion, priti purvakam. And what I do, tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. I give buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means wisdom. Yoga of wisdom. I give them because this is very subtle. It is subtler than the subtle. Adhyatma vidya vidyanam, by which we understand everything that we have to understand by studying this. Therefore, this is very subtle. And it's very difficult to understand. Even we see things, like when we see things, we see only on the surface. We don't see what is lying behind. What is the thrust of it? What is the gist of it? As Bhagavan said, that I am sapidity in water. And Prabhasmi Sasichureya, I am like the glow of sun and moon. So Sri Krishna also taught us how to see the gist behind what is outside. We should not be satisfied seeing on the outside. It's outside also is very glorious. See, a month back there was no leaf, or maybe 2 months back, but now so many green leaves and so perfectly made. And now flowers are blooming so nicely, we see it. And it's not simple, but nature does it so naturally and so perfectly. But what happens if we see that we are caught up there? But we are to see who is the creator, who is this painter who paints so very nicely. Like we see various shades of cloud, or maybe sunrise and sunset. So many glorious color. We have to ask, who is this painter who paints this? So this way we have to see the truth behind. It's not, we should not be stopped seeing the outer outer beauty. Rather, we have to see the inner beauty. Outer beauty also should be seen, but one should not stop there. So tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tat. So God gives us that power. Even Arjuna, when he said, you cannot see by this eyes, these eyes. So I'll give you the divine eyes by which you can see my glory. It is not that gross. It is gross also because through that we lead that. But ultimately, when we reach to that higher glory, then this becomes insignificant. So we'll continue. We'll read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, so that other points also will be clarified. Master, while striving for the realization of God, the aspirant has to practice renunciation, applying the logic of neti neti, not this, not this. But after attaining the vision of God, he realizes that God alone has become all things. God alone has become all things. But if we see in the beginning, then we are caught up. So first we have to reach the goal, then only we can see it properly. At one time, Rama was overpowered by the spirit of renunciation. Dasharatha, worried at this, went to the sage Vasishtha and begged him to persuade Rama not to give up the world. The sage came to Rama and found him in a gloomy mood. The fire of intense renunciation had been raging in the prince's mind. Vasishtha said, Rama, why should you renounce the world? Is the world outside God? Reason with me. Rama realized that the world had evolved from the Supreme Brahman. So he said nothing. Now Sri Ramakrishna further explains. Buttermilk is made from the same substance as butter. One who realizes this knows that butter goes with buttermilk and buttermilk with butter. So it's in other place he says, Holeri maj, majhiri phol. Holeri maj means like when there is outside, then there is inside also. When there is inside, there is outside also. Holeri maj, majhiri phol. And here buttermilk. So milk can have buttermilk and buttermilk because of milk. So one who realizes this knows that butter goes with buttermilk and buttermilk with butter. After separating the butter with great effort, that is to say, after attaining Brahma Jnana, you will realize that as long as butter exists, buttermilk also must exist. Wherever there is butter, there must be buttermilk. So now we have to relate with this. This world, if this world is there, there must be something which is higher than this. If we are caught up here, then we cannot get it. So we have to get butter. But we should not neglect buttermilk either. Except those for whom it is ordained. Wherever there is butter, there must be buttermilk as well. As long as one feels that Brahman exists, one must also be aware the universe, living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles exist as well. So now, again, he talks about what Brahman is. Now, this world, as we know in Upanishad also say, Tat Srishtva Tadevanu Pravish. So, intelligent cause and material cause. Intelligent cause is also him, and material cause is also him. as we find that the example is given of a spider. Spider takes out its own uh, material and knits a web. Similarly, this world also comes out of God, and he creates this. So material cause and intelligent cause, both are him. So what Brahman is cannot be described in words. Now Sri Ramakrishna says what Brahman is cannot be described in words. Everything has been polluted like food that has touched the tongue. That is, everything has been described in words, but no one has been able to describe Brahman. We can describe the glory of this world. Oh, how beautiful, how nice, how enjoyable, all kinds of things. But what is Brahman? One has to realize in one's own real self. It is therefore unpolluted. I said this to Vidyasagar, and he was delighted. But the knowledge of Brahman cannot be realized if the aspirant is worldly minded. So now comes, Sri Ramakrishna. So people, devotees would come and say, should we renounce world? Say, no, no, no. What should you renounce? You do that and do devotion also. So devotees would say, now he is saying that do this and do that also. But one day he'll bite. Kutush kare kamravo. He said, hey, one day he'll bite. Oh, no, no, no. Without renunciation, nothing will happen. Then Sri Ramakrishna went to defend himself. No, no, no. Kamravo cannot. Why should I bite? So anyway, but the knowledge of Brahman cannot be realized if the aspirant is worldly minded, even in the slightest degree. The success is acquired. He succeeds in acquiring this knowledge only when his mind is totally free from lust and greed. Parvati once said to her father, Father, seek the company of holy men if you want the knowledge of Brahman. Then M asked, is not it possible to develop both jnana and bhakti by the practice of a spiritual discipline? Master, through the path of bhakti, a man may attain them both. If it is necessary, God gives him the knowledge of Brahman, but a highly qualified aspirant may develop both jnana and bhakti at the same time. Such is the case with the Ishvara Kotis, Chaitanya, for example. But the case of ordinary devotees is different. There are 5 kinds of light: the light of lamp, the light of various kinds of fire, the light of moon, the light of sun, and lastly, the combined light of the sun and the moon. Bhakti is the light of the moon, and jnana the light of the sun. Sometimes it is seen that the sun has hardly set when the moon rises in the sky. In an incarnation of God, one sees at the same time the sun of knowledge and the moon of love. Can anyone, by the mere wish, develop knowledge and love at the same time? It depends on the person. One bamboo is more hollow than another. Is it possible for all to comprehend the nature of God? Can a 1-share pot hold 5 shares of milk? So for us, what is to be done? We should go through bhakti. Bhakti is the way. He who is called Brahman by the Jnanis is known as Atman by the yogis and as Bhagavan by the bhaktas. So these are 3 words. So Brahman is for Jnanis. These are words. And Atman by yogis, the self inside, at the center of one's being, and Bhagwan by the bhaktas. The same Brahman is called, same Brahmin is called priest when worshipping in the temple, and cook when preparing a meal in the kitchen. The Jnani, sticking to the path of knowledge, always reasons about the reality, saying, not this, not this. Brahman is neither this nor that. It is neither the universe nor its living beings. Reasoning in this way, the mind becomes steady. Then it appears, and the aspirant goes into samadhi. This is the knowledge of Brahman. And in another place he said, what is Brahman is like? It is like space or akash or air. So it is unattached. It is the unwavering conviction of the Jnani that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. All these names and forms are illusory, like a dream. What Brahman is cannot be described. One cannot even say that Brahman is a person. This is the opinion of the Jnanis, the followers of Vedanta philosophy. But the bhaktas accept all the states of consciousness. They take the waking state to be real also. They don't think the world to be illusory, like a dream. They say that the universe is a manifestation of God's power and glory. God has created all these: sky, stars, moon, sun, mountains, ocean, men, animals. They constitute His glory. He is within us. He is in our hearts. In our hearts. Again, He is outside. The most advanced devotees say that He Himself has become all this, the 24 cosmic principles, the universe, and all living beings. The devotees of God wants to eat sugar, not to become sugar. And then in another time it happened that Shivnath and other devotees were there. He said, why you have so much? Oh God, you have made such a wonderful world and sun and moon and sky and this and that. Why? Because you like that. Because of your likeness, you like riches, so you see that. But devotees want devotion, nothing else. So what is for us? We are to follow Bhakti. And here we see, as Sri Ramakrishna, as he also explained, sometimes regarding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be in Bhajya Dasha. That means his mind is out. He is singing, he is enjoying the company of devotees. And Antarbhajya Dasha, that means when he is half withdrawn, that time he can sing, he could sing and also dance, but then sometimes he's totally absorbed in God. Same thing we find in Sri Ramakrishna. So these are various aspects. We should not say God is this and God is not that. As Sri Ramakrishna said, God is with form, God is without form, and so many others. It cannot be limited. We cannot limit God by anything. And God is this and not that. We cannot say that. But we have to progress in our spiritual life. So this is the way. That we have to see the glory of God, but we should not be caught up there. Rather, we have to go deeper and deeper. And God is at our help. God will give us, Dadami, he said, Dadami buddhi yogam tam, yena mam upayanti. I give them pure wisdom by which they attain me. Mam upayanti. So upayanti means come unto me. They attain me. It's not that still they are his away. Rather, he attains me. So how it happens? Tesham eva anukampartham. So out of grace, anukampa, out of compassion, he gives this. Tesham eva anukampartham aham ajnanajam tam. So I remove ajnanajam tama. Tama means ignorance or darkness. How it happened? Because of ignorance, not knowing things correctly. तेषाम एव अनुकंपार्थम अहम अज्ञानजम तमः नाशयामि आत्मभावस्थे. I remove the ignorance. How? By being one with me. Out of mere compassion for them, I, abiding in their hearts, destroy the darkness in them, born of ignorance, by the luminous lamp of knowledge. So luminous lamp of knowledge. You see, it's not lighting the lamp. It is igniting our consciousness. In and through consciousness, we see everything. We feel everything. But we don't see what consciousness is. But he ignites so that we can understand what is that by which we see. What is that by which we experience? So, Nashiyami Atma Bhavasto Jnana Deepena Bhasha. Problem with us is, like when we say, it's a simple thing that Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Leaving aside everything, all your dharma, your karma, here dharma means karma. Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. So, say Sri Ramakrishna also said that surrender yourself totally to God. But that looks, what to do then? So we need details. We have some questions. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya gave some details. What is to be done? This is for knowledge so that we know that, oh, this is to be done. So Bhakti Prasad Sneha Abhishikti. Bhakti Prasad. That means your devotion should be so mature that it should have that glory or gladness of your heart. So that is like lubricant. Like in a lamp, what we do? We put some oil. So what is that oil? So Bhakti Prasad. And Mad Bhavana bhi Nivesha Vati Ritena. And Mad Bhavana. All the time he's thinking about me. Bhavana Abhinivesh. And he is so totally engrossed in me. And there are no disturbing factors. So Bhagavat Bhava. What is the real nature of God? One is meditating totally on that and getting rid of any clinging. Then Brahmacharyadi sadhana sanskaravat prajnavartin. So all the pious qualities are to be acquired, like brahmacharya, etc. And all this effort should be there. And out of those, the prajna, the wisdom, that is like a wick. So he's giving a detailed explanation of Jnana Deepa, how the wisdom of knowledge dawns onto us. Then Virakta Antahakarana Adharena. So Adhara, what Adhara should be there? What is the lamp should be there? It is totally detached. Virakta antakaran. Antakaran means inner instrument. Antakaran. So instrument also should be detached. Vishaya vyavritta avritta chit. And the chitta, mind stuff should be devoid of all vishaya, objects of the world. And then it should not be attachment and aversion. Raga, desha, kalushita, vivatapa, varakasthen. And raga, this attachment and aversion. All this should not be there. That means whatever the sadhana that we have talked about, that should be there. Nitya pravrittikagriya dhyana janita samyak darshan. So nitya means always, and all the time engaged and meditating on me, on God. So it is like this. In a scientist, what he does, he leaves everything aside and totally concentrates on his object of research. And if we find similar things happen, and in short, if we say, we can say sarva dharman paritejya mamekam sharanam. This is the details, and the simple thing is, okay, leave aside everything and concentrate on God. Then God will give you that wisdom, because there is no obstruction, but it will be flushing, as it were. It will be revealed immediately. Tesham eva anukampartham aham. So this is also because of grace. When one strives so much, naturally God also bestows grace on him or her. Nashayami atma bhavastha jnana deepena bhasvata. So this is my duty. Our duty is to strive, at least leaving everything, we are to strive for God. It's a tall order. But at least we can practice whatever, at least we should know this is the truth. And whatever we can do, that's good. And as we do, that means we want to see God's manifestations in so many forms. So interaction and all our behavior pattern should be tuned to that. So this way we can proceed. So this way, here Bhagavan says that Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, those who are to them ever steadfast and serving me with affection, I give that buddhi, I give that understanding, I give that wisdom of yoga, buddhi yoga, by which they come unto me. Tesham eva anukampartham aham ajnanajam tam. I remove the ignorance that covers the darkness. Out of mere compassion for them, I, abiding in their hearts, destroy the darkness in them born of ignorance by the luminous lamp of knowledge. So as of now, we have ignorance. But there is a way to go out of this ignorance. And the path is to total surrender. If we want to know what are the components of total surrender, so Shankaracharya has enumerated that. So this way, our whole activities should be tuned to divine. So after this, then Arjuna watch. Arjuna said, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhava. So now Arjuna praises God that you alone are Supreme Purusha, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. So here we find some adjectives. Arjuna said, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Abode, because you are the abode. On you everything stands. Say like we are here. We are sitting. We are sitting on chair. But chairs are on the floor. And floor is on the earth. And earth is held by God himself. So he is the abode of everything. So the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Abode, the Supreme Purifier art thou. All the rishis, the devas, Deva rishis, Narada as well as Asita, Devala and Vyasa. These are mythological characters, Puranic. But these are rishis. These are enumerated as rishis. So Param Brahma, Param Dham. You are Supreme Brahman. You are Supreme Abode. You are Supreme Purifier. And you are Supreme Purusham. Purusha means that Puri Shainath, who is residing in the Puri. Puri means the heart, cave of our heart. Shashvatam, who is eternal. Divyam, who is divine. Adi Devam, who is the beginning, the first deity. Adi Devam, or the origin of all deities. Ajam. Ajam means unborn. Vibhum, all pervading. And Ahustam Rishaya Sarvi, Devarshi Narada, and all the Devarshi and the rishis, the seers, and divinities, they have praised you. Asito Devalo Vyasam Cheva Bribishim. And you also are talking about your real nature. So as we know that we are in the section where God is revealing God's real nature. So here through Arjuna, the same thing is being said. The Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Abode, the Supreme Purifier art thou. All the rishis, the devas, Narada, as well as Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. Vyasa is the composer of this Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. I mean, he included in this. Have declared thee as the eternal, the self-luminous Purusha, the first Deva, birthless and all-pervading. So also thou thyself sayest to me. So when we see the glory of God, say if we go outside, there is no end of it. Therefore, we must find a place where we can start. And Bhagavan says, where is that place? Place is the heart. Heart means the center of our being. Ishwaraha sarva bhutanam hridyashi arjuna tishti. God says God is residing in the heart, at the center of our being. Ishwara sarva bhutanam hridyashi arjuna tishti. Hridyashi, not this physical heart, but at the center of our being. First we have to find there. Then only we can find in everything. But without finding here, if we search, we cannot. Rather, it is a unending, ever running, never reaching, nor even distant glimpse of shore. See, huge, this space is huge. We do not know the end. We cannot find Therefore, we are to find in first in our hearts, and then in other places. So we'll go forward in our next classes. So in short, this is that we are to surrender to God, and then God, out of compassion, He will reveal His real nature. Now, Atma Bhavastha here, when one is concentrated in oneself, when one is concentrated in oneself, then only it reveals. So our scripture says, first we must have Shraddha. Shraddhavan labhati jnanam tatparaha. And with Shraddha, one should be with effort. Shraddhavan labhati jnanam tatparaha. And then the senses should be under control. Tatpara sanyatindriya. So that will come when we surrender. You know, it said, Tame Vaishya Vrinute Stena Labh, Yame Vaishya Vrinute Stena Labh. He who, this can be seen that whom he chooses, he gets him, that compassion. But when we also choose, when we open our hearts, then only we get him. So first let us open our hearts, and with Shraddha and whatever resources that we have to put for this, and then we have to wait for God's grace. And He's so gracious. He never failed in His grace. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabha sadhureva samantavya. So even the crookedest or the worst criminal, when they worship me, they are to be regarded as sadhureva, as good people. You know, Sri Ramakrishna is called Parashdanga. Parashdanga means, at that time India was enslaved. So most of the places were occupied by Britishers. But in some places, France had occupation. So France is in Bengali, it is called France Farash. Danga means place. If someone committed some mistake or say went against government, British government, and he would go to that Farash Danga, that place where then that police of British cannot do anything. So Sri Ramakrishna knew this political idea that I am Farash Danga. That means if someone takes refuge at me, then no harm can be made against him. So Sri Ramakrishna is Parashdanga. We are to take refuge at his feet, and then things will happen. We see our prayer. Yes, please go ahead. Atma Bhavast Jnana Deepena Bhaswata. Jnana Deepena. The knowledge of lamp of knowledge. Shraddha. Shraddhavan labhate jnana. Shraddha means openness, one-pointed devotion. Yeah. Swamiji translated Shraddha as one-pointed devotion. Yeah. So to stop dissipation of energies. So that if there are so many leaks, so all the energies will go from there. Yeah. Shraddhavan lavati jnanam tatpara. Tatpara means who is with effort. And sangyatendriya. So effort should be there. In another place, there are 5 factors. Adhishthanam tatha karta. Adhishthan, then karta. Say like first, the adhishthan is this, the body. Say to start a business, there must be an office. But office is there is no officer. It will not work. So office and officer. Adhishthanam tatha karta. Then office is there, officer is also there, but there is no instrument like telephone or typewriter, computer. It cannot work. So adhisthana tatha karta karanam cha pritag vidam. Then everything is there, officer, office and instruments, but he's not trying. He's not putting his effort. So he should go to the clients and tell, this is the best product in the whole world. Then people will, okay, give me. They'll buy. So that's effort. And the 5th is Devam Chaivatra Panchamam. And the 5th is Deva. If Deva is not, Deva is the system or the divine, we can say. So many times we see the company is opened, officer, instrument, and effort is also there, but it's not happening. Because Deva is not for it. But here, as a disciple, we are to put our effort and keep our doors open, and the energies should not dissipate. That these 3 are important. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.